I'm on the run today in Boston, Massachusetts, but I wanted to make sure and answer a couple more of your questions. Today's episode is all about, should I intervene as a leader? And the answer is usually yes, not to micromanage, but to coach and call people to greatness. So 2 questions today where the leader does need to intervene. First, to coach the person in front of you. And then secondly, to call everyone to greatness. Every situation, especially workplace conflict, can be the perfect thing that needs to happen for everybody to grow and get skilled up for what's coming their way.
An anonymous fan in Austin asks, I have 2 team members who are not getting along right now, and we have addressed the situation with them both. Things went well for about a month, and then another explosion happened after a small miscommunication issue. How do you work as a team with 2 people who don't play nice with each other?
Anonymous in Austin. While you can succeed in spite of any circumstances, long-term playing well with a couple of team members who are not taking responsibility for getting along with one another and working together professionally does have its challenges. So first, you need to focus on succeeding in spite of your circumstances. Whenever things start to get unprofessional or people are not working well together, just be prepared to set your own boundaries. Set great boundaries and let them know that you do not engage in unhealthy conversations. So ask directly for what you need. Be ready to let them know that you're interested in only being professional. And so don't enable it, don't tolerate it. Set the expectation that you're only going to work with people acting professionally. So let's say they get into a disagreement, just call a timeout and say, you know what? I'm going to give us a couple of minutes so that you guys can compose yourself, and we're going to reconvene and move on the professional side of this. If things get snarky, just let them know that you're interested in moving through things professionally. And so you would like to begin again, and this time with people focusing on the professional side of things. And so setting these micro boundaries are so important. You can't control them, but you can control how you engage with them. Now, there's a second part to this question. You said that you've addressed it with these 2 team members and that they were able to work together for a few months. So they're capable of it. They're just choosing not to. You need to continue to call them to greatness, to talk with both of them and let them know that you expect for them to get along together professionally. And ask them, what is your plan to guarantee me that you can work together professionally long term? And if they do it for a few months and then fall off the bus, just go make your ask again. Go ask again how they're going to reconvene, how they're going to bring themselves to the table, acting once again professionally. See, they know how to do it. They're choosing not to. And it's your job to ask for what you need and call them to greatness again and again and again, as many times as you need it. We can't just expect that we can ask for something once and people fix it and then stay that way. You have got to be prepared to keep people between the ditches and to continually let them know what part of what they're bringing to the table is helpful and what's not helpful. And this is so important because too many times we enable things because we believe they're like personality conflicts. And I don't believe there is such thing as a personality conflict. I believe that's just another excuse to judge other people by. Quick story. When I was first supervising nurses, I hung a schedule up and immediately someone came to me and said, this won't work for me. I am scheduled to work with a colleague and we can't work together. And I think her expectation is that I would have gone and changed the schedule to accommodate her preferences. And preferences are the work of the ego. But my job as a leader is to accommodate the potential of the business. I can't let preferences trump potential when we're trying to serve our patients. So she asked me if I would change the entire schedule around to make sure that they didn't work together. And I took a very different approach. I said, why don't you and I sit down and talk? Because I'm concerned that you don't yet have the skill set you need to be able to work with anyone on the team. So why don't we work on your development? Come back to me with a plan on how you can work with anybody, how I can trust that you'll give great care regardless of who's on shift. I want you immune to your circumstances, not dependent upon them. In that moment, she had limited capabilities. She could only work and do great work in perfect circumstances. So my job was to help her grow so she could operate freely in the world. And that's the advice I would have for the two people that are in conflict. I would work with each of them individually and congratulate them that this had been put in their lives for a reason. And I needed them to get very serious about how to enhance their own skill sets to work with many people that may see the world differently or may have had conflict with them in the past. And I would just continue to say, what's your plan to get so skilled that you can work effectively with anyone? Now back to you. What's your plan so that you can get so skilled that you can work effectively, even when you have a couple of teammates who aren't as skillful as we would hope they would be in working with each other?
Carrie from St. Paul, Minnesota says, I would like to know when a leader should step in to address a situation. For example, I have a direct report who is frustrated with two other coworkers about the volume of their personal conversations. I have coached the annoyed coworker to share her concerns with the other two employees, which she has done. However, the other two employees are still having loud, distracting conversations. Do I, as the manager, get involved at this point because it is a performance issue for the two chatty coworkers, or continue to coach the frustrated employee to address the issue?
Carrie in St. Paul, it is time for you as a leader to get involved. Now, my philosophy is that you coach everyone individually who's involved. So keep coaching the person who's distracted by the conversations to grow the skill set and the courage to deal with that directly in the moment. A simple call to greatness to say, hey, this is getting disruptive. Can you guys take it elsewhere or calm it down? The person who's being distracted really needs to grow in that skill set. And I believe that you have an opportunity to help your two disruptive employees to get more conscious of their effect on others, to move more consciously and intentionally through the world. With the person who is easily distracted, I would continue to coach them on ways to be courageous, step up, and ask directly for what they need. In the moment, quick timeouts, saying, hey, you guys, it's getting a little loud. Can you take it elsewhere? Hey, can we get a little bit more quiet? I'm on the phone, or any other way that they can enhance their communication and work together in that environment. Don't let that person off the hook. And I think it's time to connect with any other employees that are not doing their part to create a great working environment. One-on-one, I would ask an employee for just a moment, and I would say, I want to make sure that you're clear on one of my expectations, which is to do your part in creating a wonderful work environment. There are some things that aren't conducive to a great work environment, which is loud conversations, drawn out conversations, lots of laughter, or other distractive, informal behaviors in the workplace. I know these erupt from time to time, but I want you to work on being more conscientious of the people around you, to move out of oblivion and kind of in the moment behavior, and to ensure that you are focused not just on what is funny or good for you, but also what's good for your environment. And then I would say, come back to me with a plan on 3 or 4 things you could do to contribute to a great working environment. And if they didn't come around, I would have another assignment for self-reflection. Can you identify over the past week 2 or 3 behaviors that you got into that interrupted the work environment? And what could you do differently? And so I would just keep plugging away at all of these folks, moving through, working together differently. See, the key here is 1, coach the person in front of you first. And then secondly, realize that any conflict at work is opportunity to coach everybody involved. It comes up for a reason. It's our job as a leader to help everyone get what they came for and learn what the conflict is trying to bring to their attention, to grow them beyond these somewhat trivial situations. Thanks for joining me for another episode of Life's Messy, Live Happy. And I hope you're enjoying and benefiting from the content. If you know of others that would benefit from the content as well, make sure you're sharing this episode. And Get connected on social media. You know where to find me. Everything is at Cy Wakeman.